The beautiful thing about life is that for every yes we receive on the critical success Baldur's Gate roll, I can bet you've obtained just as much and even double the amount of times being denied, like a controller's home button function during long ass updates. Rejection in all forms is great common level loot to find in all pockets of possibility in the world, especially here in this hobby of gaming where people are being farmed left and right through Twitter repost lottery gaming giveaways for engagement and learning that the more retweets than the original post hard way. Being told no in gaming can be a tough pill to throw down given how we usually associate, picking up the sticks as an outlet of just wanting to turn on a system and distract ourselves from stress that comes with everyday life with the stress of playing literally any F-Zero game ever, the good stress. Gaming has so much room for rejection due to stretching thin your time and resources needed just to get the most out of it nowadays, which obviously sucks more than a Kirby power-up, but once you recognize and get used to that annoying feeling like doing Wii Motion Plus calibration, it just becomes so much easier to take some of that rejection into your own battle arts moveset and instead tell your own game trend manipulated feelings and urges no by staying clear from the latest or possibly even future console generations. I would say, just for now, but likely for an indefinite period of time since game console price hikes after a generation ends is a thing now. Listen, as far as you're concerned, I'm just a wizard that may or may not exist outside of your consciousness in this very moment. You should wake up now. But obviously nothing I say is law, and there's nothing wrong with playing on whatever console you want to play on, man. Exclusivity is dying. They're almost all the same damn thing now. I just personally can't help but be inspired by all the players who actively reject modern consoles for the sake of keeping past hardware alive in rotation, either as an act of protest against all the publishers who rarely listen to their own opinion posts they send out every once in a while, or just that post-nut clarity received once you potentially do cut off buying into newer systems, of which you just then completely realize that the world of older consoles arguably holds as much value like right now when you find it as the latest console generation will only achieve later in its lifespan, where you will have that eventual abundance of great games available, all within an ecosystem of just good ass discounted pricing. And that, my young acolytes, is where we enter the stage known scientifically as being able to actually afford video games. It's a more nuanced topic. We're still learning about it. You see, value in gaming is this two-sided Pokemon release variant thing that's getting harder and harder for the manufacturers and the consumers playing on manufactured systems to ever unanimously see Goofy Movie eye to eye on. Like, take Nintendo. They can list their Nintendo Switch 2 console at whatever tariff-affected retail price they want to and claim that as the value of the latest console, but anyone who's deep into retro gaming can break that price tag down into the value of an eBay cart full of at least 2 old consoles and every storage device needed for fast jailbreaking. It's an instinct. When it comes to old consoles, who would have guessed that people tend to charge decent prices for hardware that still uses composite video cables for display? And I mean, shit, who would have also guessed that people of all ages right now are thrilled to go back to this legacy hardware in the age of nostalgia, going through a generational run on the internet where everyone is romanticizing the good old days? If the inconsistent quality of new releases boasting insane price tags isn't like the biggest mini-map position giveaway that higher pricing in gaming means less than shit now, then I'll allow you to be oblivious and not buy into these older games so we don't have another Tomodachi life situation where that game was cheap to find until it wasn't. Buying old consoles and games rarely ever feel like a bad purchase, since it just feels like the GTA respect stats of your dollar is being acknowledged for what you're receiving at the appropriate price tag. Sure, the aspect of graphic fidelity and possibly dated console presentations may be seen as an insult to your newfound 4K TV, but I don't think that I have to tell you, the player who clicked on the video talking about rejecting new consoles, how so many precious experiences have deviated away from gaming hardware as time went on. Things like actually owning your games. I'm gonna rest my case on that. But as far as affordability goes and sticking to last generation gaming, I found that you'll rarely have any like outlandish prices when it comes to like buying most used consoles with its box and inserts included. Obviously not accounting for anything special edition or even remotely 3DS related that isn't region locked to Japan. You just be glitched off the map with those prices at that point. But depending on where you buy, people can be really generous in getting rid of the things that they probably have no more use for. Old game consoles are usually like the main victim of that inevitable closet clean out. But then again, also, you might already have your designated older console in your possession from your personal collection, and if that's the case, spend even less money by just buying into the usually cheaper used games and console accessories that you can score in bulk on an online marketplace or potentially like a local retro store. The whole point of it, man, is to just dive into a new but still familiar world of enjoying video games from a time that had less compiling shader screen level barriers getting in the way of having pure fun. But, you know, unfortunately, man, like everything else in the world, the rising cost of everything is just one of those barriers cock-blocking the joys of modern gaming. Something that many players look to escape from in the form of just leaving those newer systems alone. Because it can be hard to say no to the console that it seems like everyone is playing on and is the hardware of speculation for the next game of your favorite franchise that never gets announced on the developer showcase you ever think that it will. Man, do we live in an age more connected to everyone's personal opinions than ever before. So much so to the point where a lot of people are just conditioned to like thrive off of the opinions of others. I'm sure it's one of the reasons that we check the comment section for a video trailer before that shit even starts. And you see, when you take that same ideology into the grand player-driven marketing bigger picture that keeps people so invested into the hype of modern gaming, you realize that that fear of missing out is a concept always match made on the opposite team against the idea of rejecting new consoles. Like, I've got no plans of buying a Switch 2 at this very moment, but seeing it sold out at a price that may increase soon is it just has me like, damn, you know? What should I do? Unfortunately, fear of missing out, or FOMO, is a concept that only truly goes away when you don't care. And you usually don't care when you can't find a reason to want to buy something, likely because you're already fine with what you have or what alternative that you can get to. I just described to you the cycle of life for genuine happiness. Listen, it's easy to get caught up in the trends and all the other things that players are doing as we feed into our human nature of socializing with one another on the internet. Good or bad. But if playing on the newer systems isn't bringing the good times you'd expect out of playing on these machines you invest so much time and money on in hopes of evoking that same feeling of freedom and joy you had when playing games as a kid, well, I hate to spoil the boss battle, but you probably won't feel that free again because it's just one of the forced DLCs that comes with being an adult. You know, once you're all in, you just can't uninstall it, unfortunately. But what you do have control over is your mindset to which you approach playing games, which can be turned into a positive one when you truly stop giving a fuck about what's going on in the gaming world from a FOMO perspective and just enjoy the consoles that do make you feel the most happiest. Not necessarily in the light of putting yourself in this like isolated Minecraft bedrock house with no doors or windows to where you just aren't aware of anything going on in the gaming world outside of the games that you like to play. You know, I'm not saying you gotta just stop caring about the video game world in general, I just think it's important to note that the feeling of wanting to be a part of something that a lot of other players are doing is something that's probably tempted us all before at some point and probably still will in the future. Like, it's just fun to be hyped for something new coming out, you know? Why else would you get a pass to camp 24 hours outside private property when a new console releases, making the homeless just jealous? You just gotta learn to go through this hobby at your own, waiting for the eventual sale pace as you realize that the hype for day one experiences rarely ever pay off anymore. And it's a lesson that's not possible to learn without the common practice of rejection, since rejection builds character and an eventual villain arc depending on the person. But instead of going sour on the hobby as a whole and taking your anger out on the industry by walking away from playing games at all, dude, you get an A for effort in your performance, but why punish yourself and just not stick to the era that you last had the most fun playing video games? Within the current gaming climate, I think that right now is the easiest time to stick to the consoles that you like the most, because man, if it isn't broke in your gaming lifestyle, you don't gotta fix it. And that's all that I got for today, man. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the video, subscribe. I didn't bring my orb today, but I'll see you guys in the next video.